they promised the impossible. A car that was powerful, affordable, reliable, and clean. Not just clean enough to pass regulation, but clean enough to save the planet. Governments praised it. Consumers trusted it. Environmental groups cautiously approved it. And for years, nobody questioned it, because the lie wasn't visible. It wasn't noisy. It didn't explode. It was silent, hidden inside lines of code. This is the story of the biggest corporate fraud nobody saw coming. For decades, diesel engines had a problem. They were efficient and strong, but dirty. They produced nitrogen oxide emissions that damaged lungs, polluted cities, and shortened lives. Regulators across the world made something clear: diesel cars had to get cleaner or disappear. Most automakers struggled. Some gave up entirely. Others warned it wasn't technically possible without making cars slower, weaker, or far more expensive. Then one company claimed they had cracked the code. Volkswagen. They called it clean diesel, a technological breakthrough, according to their ads. Engineering excellence. According to executive, proof that innovation could protect both performance and the planet. Sales exploded. In the United States, Volkswagen positioned itself as the honest alternative, the European brand that played by the rules. In Europe, they became symbols of environmental responsibility. By 2014, millions of these cars were on the road. But behind the scenes, a very different story was unfolding. A group of independent researchers in the US decided to test diesel cars outside of laboratory conditions, not in sterile environments or under perfect test cycles. They drove them on real roads, and the numbers made no sense. In lab tests, the cars passed emissions limits easily. On the road, those same cars produced up to 40 times the legal pollution. At first, everyone assumed the researchers were wrong. So did Volkswagen. Executives blamed testing errors, calibration issues, and driving conditions. Excuse after excuse. But regulators kept digging. And that's when they found it. Hidden deep inside the vehicle's software was a detection system, a digital switch. The car knew when it was being tested, when the steering wheel didn't move, when speed followed a precise pattern, when the wheels behaved like they were on a dyno. The moment it recognized the test environment, the engine changed behavior. Emissions controls activated fully. Power dropped slightly. Everything looked clean, but the second the car returned to the road, the controls shut down. Performance returned, efficiency improved, and pollution skyrocketed. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a bug. It was design. Engineers had written software specifically to deceive regulators, code meant to cheat government tests. For years, millions of cars quietly polluted far beyond legal limits while advertising themselves as environmentally friendly. Volkswagen had built 2 cars inside every vehicle, one clean and one dirty, and only the machine knew the difference. When confronted with undeniable evidence, the company finally admitted the truth. They had installed defeat devices. The fallout was immediate. Stock prices collapsed. Executives resigned. Governments launched investigations across multiple continents. Volkswagen eventually paid more than $30 billion in fines, settlements, and compensation. But the real damage went far beyond money. Trust was shattered. Consumers realized that one of the most respected engineering brands on Earth had deliberately lied, not just to customers, but to entire governments. And that raised a terrifying question. If a company like Volkswagen could do this, who else was cheating? As investigations expanded, regulators began testing other manufacturers. Some failed. Some quietly recalled models. Some changed software without public announcements. The story suddenly wasn't just about one company. It was about an industry. The Dieselgate scandal exposed a brutal reality. Modern products are no longer just machines. They are software platforms. And software can lie. Lines of code don't leave fingerprints. They don't emit smoke. They don't trigger alarms. They sit patiently, waiting to be activated. And in a world increasingly controlled by algorithms, that realization was chilling. But here's what most people never talk about. Volkswagen didn't build the fraud overnight. Internally, engineers had raised concerns years earlier. Some warned it couldn't be done legally. Others suggested alternatives. Those voices were ignored. Deadlines mattered more. Market share mattered more. Admitting failure was not an option. So a line was crossed, then justified, then hidden, then normalized, until thousands of people were participating in a system where nobody wanted to be the one to say no. And once the lie became profitable, stopping it became impossible. Even after the scandal broke, questions remained unanswered. Who approved the final decision? How high did the knowledge really go? Were executives truly unaware, or merely insulated? Many of those details never fully surfaced. Some documents stayed sealed. Some testimonies vanished into legal settlements. And while Volkswagen became the face of the scandal, the system that allowed it to happen remained largely untouched. Governments moved on. Markets recovered. Cars kept getting smarter, but the lesson lingered quietly beneath the surface. If software can detect when it's being watched, what happens when nobody is looking? Because Dieselgate wasn't just about emissions, it was proof that in the modern world, the biggest frauds aren't messy. They're elegant, they're mathematical, they're invisible, and sometimes they run millions of times per second inside machines we trust with our lives. What regulators uncovered at Volkswagen was just one chapter. What remains hidden inside the systems we rely on every day is a much larger story, one that is still unfolding, and once you see it, it becomes impossible to unsee. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe to the channel. We uncover the biggest financial frauds, corporate scandals, and hidden deceptions most people never see.